Greetings, good evening, happy Yom Shishi, and actually, it's not sundown yet, but we are moving into our sundown. So Shabbat Shalom or early Shabbat Shalom for those of you who are acknowledging Shabbat. We are forward an hour, so for some of us, it is still daylight. It's been a long time since it's been this time in daylight. So, with that being said, we are opening the space, giving thanks and praise to the Most High Yah. Also acknowledging our Chief Jedna, Chief Yuya Assaan-ANU, who has allowed us to utilize his space to do this reading and spread the word. So we are opening Shema-ANU. I am Sister Deidre, and I am here with my beautiful co-host, Ema Precious. So good evening. A few housekeeping rules just to remember. We are about a 20-second delay. So we want to just ask that you give us some, just be a little patient with us as we read questions in the chat and comment and interact. So there's just a 20-second delay. So today, we are actually still in the section on family. And we have moved out of the part on generational curses. And today we are actually opening up a new piece under the section of family, and that is courting. So today we're going to go over the very first part or one of the beginning crucial steps of the process to building family, which is courting, and the process therein. So we're going to begin. But before we begin, Ema Precious, will you do us the honor of reading the preface?
Absolutely. Greetings. So the preface, as we read each time we open this space, states that this book is not to be read only once. Read the words of this book of knowledge and wisdom out loud. Discuss the convictions of this work with your Anu brothers and sisters. Share this information with your people. This publication should be read daily. Every line in this book can be taken out of context and studied on the strength of its own potential. And the truth is to be deliberated. So as
for the people in the back.
one more time. See, I was waiting for it. I almost thought you were going to disappoint me, and I wasn't going to say that again.
Of course not.
The truth is to be deliberated. Okay. So with that, as Sister Deidre shared, we are jumping straight in today, sharing on the principle of courting. I'm going to go ahead and read the paragraph that we'll be digging into this evening. Courting is the process by which we take a prescribed set of time to get to know the individual that we are looking to wed. During this time, we also seek to learn about their relations. This process is to determine if there is compatibility not only between the two persons, but also if the families of those individuals are compatible with one another. The purpose of courtship is not the persons involved to wed. The purpose of courtship is for the two to know one another. Okay? If this happens, the courtship has been a success. It is a wonderful thing to get to know a fellow Anu member. Now, with that, we're definitely going to open the space with a question, and we'd love to hear your answers. If you have not read this tome, what is your definition of courting? And if you have had the opportunity to read this text, what is your understanding of courting?
Sister Deidre? I'm going to put it in the chat, so just repeat the question one more time.
Sure. If you have not read this tome, what is your definition of courting?
Okay.
And if you have read this text, What is your understanding of courting?
Okay. So the questions are in the chat. We are, again, remember the 20-second delay. So be patient with us as we get to your answers, but we do invite you to share and engage in the chat. If you are catching this live, after it's live, please, please, please engage in the comment section below, down there. Okay, so we're going to go over the very first sentence. Courting is the process by which we take a prescribed set of time to get to know the individual that we are looking to wed. So basically, when I read this, to me, it says it's determining compatibility. It's getting to know the other person within an allotted amount of time. So it was, I think in that moment for me, it was very clear this is not the same as um, dating, because when we think about what the secular world calls dating, it is filled with ambiguity. Courting is really between two people, not one person and maybe several others, or two people and several others on each side. It is a process to be respected. So if you're trying to get to know one other person, then you should be trying to get to know that one other person, because how can you determine compatibility if you have a lot of noise around you, because you're moving in this way where you have a lot of people that you are thinking that you're courting, right? So that's what this sentence really says to me and standing out. It's really getting rid of the ambiguity and engaging with purpose.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's much more complex than that. It's not dating, right? um, During this time, we also seek to learn about their relations. So, as stated by Sister Deidre, this courtship process really does seek to determine compatibility, even beyond the two individuals. So, when you think of the term relations, I know the first thing that came to mind for me was family, which of course we know the next line because we read it already. We'll delve into. So, I'll leave family for the next line. Um, and one, I want you to consider what that would mean in a courtship, which would also make it different than dating. So we're talking family, we're talking friends, and how that all will come together, and even how open and honest you are about your past relations. And even beyond that, there was something that came up when we prepped for this. Sister Deidre, what is it? What
It's
else do relations connect with?
So I think let's be very clear. This is relations. It doesn't specifically say blood relations or um, friends, which are also relationships, but it's relations, right? And so that also means your past, what some call relationships. Who have you dated before? What's your body count, basically? What's your mileage? Because those things matter. So in the courtship process, it is a very open and honest process. So there is no, tweaking of numbers. It's about honesty, because if you're determining compatibility, like we said before, then honesty must be at the forefront, and truth. So keeping in mind mileage and body, they are very important.
Indeed. Thanks.
Okay, so moving to the next sentence. This process is to determine if there is compatibility not only between the two persons, but also if the families of those individuals are compatible with one another. So this is like, the continuation of the sentence before. So it's not just making sure that you know what family the other person comes from, but does mom and mom get along? Does dad and dad get along? Are they are they in agreement with the culture that's been fed to the two that are courting, right? And this is why community is important, because if you're coming from the same community, if you are moving in the same culture, then we know that there's a high likelihood that family is compatible. So it's not just making sure that, one and the number one and number two are compatible so they can make three. It's
Mm.
making sure that where the unseen that those one and two came from, to making sure that those individuals and that body of family and blood relatives are also compatible with one another.
Yeah, I think
Family that locks together, flocks together, right? That's another one for the books.
okay. I never heard that one in my life, but I'll put it in
Very
my new book.
first.
I'll put it in my book right now.
Mhm. What's up?
Okay. All right. So, what this brings to mind for me is the idea of bloodline compatibility, right? So, while we may not, many of us have the, I think it's a dignity, right? The dignity of knowing our original tribe, because we don't know that. You don't know that the person that you're connecting with, in fact, bloodline is of a tribe that was definitely not in alignment. And so, by determining compatibility, while it is something that we're doing in this walk, in this physical walk, in intentionally making those connections, you discover during the courtship process whether there are just explosive kind of challenges that could arise, when one mother, like you said, meets the other mother, and you realize instantly, energetically even, that there's just something that doesn't work. Because that's something may also be something that you two may sense. But if you're coming from a Western mindset of what dating should be, instead of honoring the process, as we'll delve into, and as our brothers will delve into more deeply, instead of doing that and honoring that process, you'll falsely try to convince yourself that it isn't what in fact it is. So the idea of that tribal context, and potential conflict is what came to mind here.
Yeah. It made me think of something like just kind of just now about, the importance of arranged marriages. I remember, and again, like, I'm pulling from like my own experience and thought processes. And when you come up in the West, you have like a very different idea of how the rest of the world works. And then as you grow older, if you are open to learning different things, you realize like, maybe we were the backwards ones, right? And so it makes me think about how in different cultures you have arranged marriages and how important they actually are, and how they serve to continue culture and making sure that that compatibility is there. So I just wanted to add that, like, as you read, I was like, yeah, this is why this is important. It ensures that the families are compatible. So
Indeed.
um, I'm going to insert a question. So as you are all thinking about your responses to the initial question of the evening, I'll repeat it again. What's your definition of courting? If you have not read this tome, and if you have, then what is your understanding of courting? And so I'm going to read an answer. We actually see something from Sarani's Sister Moksha. Courting is an important stage of developing a connection through consistent communication, knowledge, and understanding of both cultures, families involved. Thank you very much. Give thanks, Sister Moksha.
Oh, yeah.
As you also continue adding your answers into the chat or into the comments if you're watching this afterward, I'm going to insert another question for folks to ponder and think about. And please, engage with this question as well in the chat. Based on what we've shared so far, whether you have read the tome or not, what are the benefits, or what is the benefit to the community or communal benefits of courting? So we've kind of gone through some of those answers, but I want to see if you've been paying attention with a keen ear, and put some of those things in the chat. So I'll say it again. What are some of the communal benefits of courting? And so while you're thinking of some of those answers, I'm going to move on to the next sentence in this paragraph. The purpose of courtship is for the two to know one another. the reason why this is done, and this is almost just a repeat of what we've been saying, it has to be done in an authentic way. It has to be done in an authentic way. Right. It's not about testing the water, in that dating and sowing your wild oats. This is not coming to America. This is not, a free for all. This is not whoever gone wild. This is a serious matter, because the point, as we said before, this is for two people who are looking to wed. So you really need to move with intention to determine whether this is going to, end up, which is what the point of the courtship is. We wanted to end up in marriage. So you really need to, do it with intention and do it with purpose. And so that's why authenticity, honesty, and truth are really, really important if you're going to get to know someone. So, and the reason why we asked the question, there are community benefits to this. And we kind of gave away some of that answer before. So I'd like to see what some of you have thought about as we've been talking. Ema Precious, while we wait, do you have something to add?
Absolutely. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read the previous line, because I think the previous line gives a little bit more about why we want to explore the communal benefits, right? So the previous line reads, "The purpose of courtship is not for the persons involved to wed." So I'll repeat that. The purpose of courtship is not for the persons involved to wed. So if the purpose of courtship isn't for the purpose of eventually jumping a broom, if that's what you're doing, then what is the purpose? Is it perhaps to explore, really to make a decision whether you are in fact compatible with this individual that you've chosen to commit this allotted time to really getting to know with intention and purpose? And I know we've touched on, all of Chief Yuya's text in the past, but this particular line and courtship specifically is covered quite extensively in solutions for dysfunctional family relationships. So I think it would be really important, if this is something that you have never heard of before and has piqued your interest, to definitely dig into the Anu way, but also to secure a copy of that text as well, because in it, there are actual strategies, questions, time frames, etc., to help you thoroughly understand and understand the purpose of courtship and why it isn't necessarily requiring that the two become one at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a thought as you were talking, um, and but I think we'll probably get to that part, and if not, hopefully I'll remember. I don't want to jump ahead. Um,
That,
so while we're waiting, I just want to acknowledge some of the Anu family and visitors we have in the chat. So Peace, Sister Kashia, Sister Munira, Sovereign Eats, Ia Sequoia, greetings Naya, and Ema Akuya. Greetings, Nicole. I hope I said it right and it's not Nicole, but if it is, greetings, Nicole or Nicole. We have another response in the chat. Sister Munira says the benefits of courtship include establishing compatibility, getting to know another member of your community, and ensuring the families of the two courting can mend seamlessly. Awesome.
somebody was listening.
I'm glad to know that we are not up here like Bueller.
Anybody?
Right. Exactly. This is all about reciprocity.
Yes, yes.
Are watching this
Don't
after.
leave us out here. Don't leave us out
Right.
here, right? Just smiling on camera.
Right. If you're watching this after the live, put it in the chat. That's
That's right. That's right.
okay. So while you continue contemplating your answers, we're going to move along.
Sure. So I know you touched on the purpose of courtship is for the two to know one another, right? So that's Really important. And just to get to the next line, it says, if this has happened, the courtship has been a success. So, as we said earlier, determining successful outcomes, if that's what you're looking for, right? An outcome, it isn't necessarily to wed the individual that you're committing to courtship with. It's actually to truly get to know another brother or sister. And through that process, if you've done that in the end, no matter what the decision is of the collective, right, of for coming together at that time, there it's a success. So I think, you made the distinction that this is not dating. And while on the surface, people may still say, well, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's to meet up and it's to date, and it's to kind of get to know one another. At the end of dating, and I think we both acknowledged through wasted time that we have dated in the past. At the end, I know I always felt like I failed. If it didn't work, right, then I failed. And what this is saying is the great, I'll say a great distinction between dating and courtship is that if in the end you got to know one another, then you have in fact succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which leads into the final part of this section. It is a wonderful thing to get to know a fellow ANU member. So I think it rounds it all up, and it's a nice, ties it up in a nice bow. And it goes into what you just said. Once you come through the courtship, you may find like it doesn't work, right? But now the fullness as much as you can of another ANU member, and that helps you to build on harmonizing, right, with those in your community, and building unity with those in your community. You now know the note of another person.
Absolutely. So you know what? I think that's probably my favorite line. So I'm going to pull Sister Deidre. Could you read that last line again, please?
For the people in the back, it is a wonderful thing to get to know a fellow ANU member.
Give thanks.
Okay. I don't see anything else in the chat. Um, so what will I'll do as we're waiting, because again, yeah, there's a delay. So as we're waiting, I do want to remind those of you who are in this space now, or those of you who will catch this later, that the ANU Life Global Ministries is going to be opening for applications starting tomorrow, which is 3/20, powerful day. So we will be accepting applications for women. You can go to ANU Life Global Ministries, so www.anulifeglobal.org, and you can click on the link that said in the menu, that's ANU Womb. And for men, you can click on the ANU Man link. And just a heads up, we will be live again at 7:30 this evening. We are going to have our ANU Womb Wisdom Panel, and you'll be able to hear from other sisters besides Ema Precious and myself that are also within ANU Womb, and we'll be discussing our experiences, changes that we've had to make in our lives for the better, as well as challenges that we've also experienced. For those of you who are going to apply. And it'll be helpful. So we may be taking some questions as we can get to them if time allows. And if we don't, there will be a second panel next Yom Shishi, which is 3/26, correct? 3/26. Please make sure that you clear space to catch those. Don't catch them during the live. You can definitely catch them in at a later date. I will say the application period does have an ending date. Nothing is forever. So applications will open tomorrow on 3/20, and they will close on 3/31. So make sure to get your applications in. So we do have some more comments in the chat. Give thanks. So Sovereign Eats says, "No, it is purpose driven." I think we're talking about courtship. Yep.
Mhm.
And no, it is purpose driven, focused, and creates a space for both persons to be honest and to function without pressure and false intentions. Absolutely. This is that authenticity, that truth, and the honesty. Greetings, Chief. Give thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Listening to you. Um, Sovereignties also says within our new courting is a process that occurs within a community with clear and comprehensive cultural identity, no confusion. Absolutely. I'm going to say that again. Within our new courting is a process that occurs within a community with clear and comprehensive cultural identity, no confusion.
Know what?
Confusion doesn't exist.
See it
We
clear.
confusion. Chief Yuya says courting is a community process oversaw by community elders used to get to know a person to determine mating compatibility. It is used for the purposes of fact finding.
Hmm.
It is used for the purposes of fact finding.
So get that pen out, take a lot of notes, have a lot of questions, get solutions for dysfunctional family relationships, go through and be authentic and honest about those questions that are posed in that text, particularly in the section that touches on courtship.
Right.
And I believe Sister Deidre said several times, be honest about your what? Your body count. Come on
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that says
Yeah.
it all. That
Yeah.
says it
It's a thing, as they say. It's a thing, and it's a real thing, and it's important.
all. That's it.
So, with that, we will close. Give thanks for joining us this evening. This leading into our Shabbat. We give thanks for everyone in the space. And again, join us in about 30 minutes, 33 minutes, for our Anu Womb Wisdom Panel, where we'll be sharing about our experiences from the women in Anu, from their point of view. This will be the first of two panels, starting in 33 minutes. Give thanks for all of you in the space, and we will see you in the forward.
Peace.
Peace.